interminable traffic queues is nobody's idea of fun, unless you get high on inhaling vehicle fumes and dodging motorcyclists. On 7 miles of roads in North London, painting the town red has decreased journey times by as much as a quarter. The capital's experimental red routes offer those who park illegally a greater chance of being towed away. But still, traffic speed is low, and another solution is needed. Now, 2 research studies suggest that public opinion is moving towards charging drivers for using our cities, but not just London.
Traffic jams and the historic university city of Cambridge might appear to have little in common. But just yards away from this idyllic setting, each morning and evening, Cambridge commuters battle it out in traffic that moves even slower than in London.
If your speed reaches double figures, you're celebrating in Cambridge's so-called rush hour. In the last 10 years, traffic here has increased by nearly 50%. The County Council say that quality of life and trade in the city is being threatened by traffic jams. Even today's vehicle numbers are expected to almost double by the year 2000. Many motorists in Cambridge insisted to us that the problem had to be cracked. Well, the radical plan the council have come up with involves identifying vehicles as they enter the city and then charging drivers if they get snarled up in traffic jams. A novel system of road pricing. Avoid the busy period and you won't end up out of pocket.
But Cambridge can only contemplate that idea because of work that's been carried out here at Newcastle Polytechnic. This brand new technology allows far greater numbers of cars to be checked in and out of an area than has ever been possible before. It relies on 2 basic pieces of kit: a transmitter, which goes at the side of the road, and a receiver, which goes inside the car. The transmitter, which wouldn't ultimately look like a suitcase, sends a microwave signal across to the receiver. Now, inside the car, the receiver is housed in a small box, but neither the receiver nor your car will work until a plastic debit card has been inserted.
Each transmitter blankets one side of the road. Electronically, it asks moving vehicles whether they've got a meter. If the answer's yes, it turns the meter on, ready to charge if the road gets congested. If the vehicle doesn't respond, it can be photographed.
This is a typical entry point into Cambridge, the main road from Huntingdon, and it's here that the system would actually have to work. The roadside units would normally be positioned on existing pieces of street furniture, as the planners call them. In other words, in this case, up that lamppost, activating the meters in vehicles as they pass into the city. On the other side of the road, there'd be 2 or maybe 3 units, making sure meters get turned off as cars go out of the city.
The plan is to have 17 electronic beacons on the entry routes. There are no other ways into Cambridge. Visitors without meters would be directed to one of a limited number of toll booths where they'd buy a daily ticket. Regulars would have to have the meter.
Inside your car, probably on the dashboard, will be the meter into which you'll have inserted your card. Now, the meter will show you how many units there are left on your card. It'll also calculate the distance you've travelled and the time you've taken. So if you hit rush hour traffic and fail to cover, say, 1/3 of a mile in 3 minutes, you'll be charged 1 unit, which might work out at around 20 pence. What if you hit roadworks? Well, the technology allows for mobile beacons to be put up around roadworks so that they will turn your meter off, and in theory, you won't get charged.
Congestion metering, as it's known, might seem a little draconian. For example, if your card runs out of credit and into debit by more than 50 units, your car simply won't start because the metering system will be wired between the ignition and the engine, or that's the plan. You'd have to get your card recharged at a garage or newsagent's before restarting. But for some in Cambridge, there's a brighter side to it. The money motorists generate would fund a rapid transit system. Using redundant railway lines, a light rail system or maybe a guided bus would speed commuters into the centre, but it would still have to cope with narrow streets once in the middle. So it's all in a good cause. But is it fair to make money from the motorist?
Well, in many respects, it's the lesser of the evils. It's better than being stuck in a traffic jam for maybe an hour and a half, who knows. There is no doubt that people don't like sitting in traffic jams, and this is probably the only way out of it in the end.
So you accept you haven't really got a basic right to do it?
It's not the sort of thing that anybody actually likes doing, but we feel we have no choice.
But perhaps the most controversial element of this system is that the owners of every single car registered here in Cambridge, and indeed for 15 miles around it, will have to have an electronic metering box wired into their pride and joy. But how can you possibly achieve that?
The County Council will need legislation in two forms. One is power to fit meters within all vehicles within about 12 or 15 mile radius, and the power to charge within the city.
This is a most unwelcome development. We think the thin end of the wedge. The motorist pays some £22 billion a year into the Exchequer, and only a quarter of that's returned to the road building programme. And the motorist has already paid for the road use in Cambridgeshire. The alternative is good public transport. Light rapid transit systems, such as the type operated in Newcastle, are popular, and we would encourage motorists to leave their cars outside of the city where park and ride facilities exist.
Newcastle started tackling congestion with a rapid transit system, the Metro, in 1980, without passing the bill, nearly £300 million, onto motorists. But even the Metro isn't without its problems. Whereas once it was a fully integrated system with the buses, deregulation has allowed new operators to run buses into the city centre, in competition with the light rail network. The Metro has fought back with secure car parks at its park and ride stations, but the congestion is once again returning. Cambridge's solution to its traffic nightmare is revolutionary. Other places like Hong Kong, Oslo and Singapore have tried charging, but Cambridge's scheme would be the first to charge only when drivers are causing congestion. Certainly, Cambridge will be remembered, either as the blueprint for all our cities or as the motoring joke of the 20th century.